Hi, I'm Ben. Welcome to Brain Playground, Episode 3, Add OpenCV. So in this episode, I'm going to add OpenCV to my project. But before I do that, I wanted to talk a little bit about my goals for this series, for the Brain Playground series. And so what exactly am I trying to make? I'm trying to make a program. This is my long-term goal, a program that will process biological images and it will extract data from those images. So what kind of data? Maybe the number of features, the size of features, the brightness or light intensity of features. There's all kinds of things I might want to measure from a biological image, but I want to create a program that can do some of that. So you might ask, why don't I just buy a program that does that? There's a few reasons for that. First of all, I'm trying to learn a program, and this is my project to do so. Second, a lot of biology analysis programs are really expensive, and the ones that are open source don't always do exactly what I want it to do. So I'm kind of going out on my own, trying to learn how to code and make a application that I want to use. Okay, so that long-term goal of creating a program to process biological images is daunting and huge, and I have no idea where to start. So that's just too big of a goal to really be able to do anything with. So I came up with some more manageable goals. So I want to be able to load an image on demand. So in other words, have the user will want to open an image and choose which image they open. So that's one of the goals. I want to display that image on the screen, and then I want to be able to do something to the image and then display the updated image with, whatever modification I've made to it. So that's a starting set of goals, just to kind of have like the ability to view images. And in applications that do similar things, a lot of the open source applications are using OpenCV, which is an open source computer vision library. It's a library that's really designed for working with images and extracting features from them, which is exactly what I want to try to do. So the OpenCV library sounds like a really great place to start. Okay, so that is still a whole bunch of things to do. So that's still a little too complicated for what I'm able to do. I don't know how to do all of that stuff yet. So let's start with a short-term goal. So now we're getting down to like the nitty-gritty, the really actionable goals, the things that I can do. So I'm going to figure out how to add the OpenCV library to my project, and then I'm going to implement OpenCV to display an image on the screen. That's my goal. Let's see if we can make that happen. Okay, so I'm going to start going through how I incorporated OpenCV into my Visual Studio's project. I'm not going to go over downloading OpenCV. That there's a lot of videos on how to use OpenCV and get it started, how to download it, all of that stuff. But what I haven't found is any videos talking about how to incorporate it into your project using Premake. And because I've gotten used to using Premake by watching the Hazel videos, I really want to be able to use Premake to add OpenCV. So here's what I figured out. So first of all, what I needed to do is I needed to tell Visual Studios that I have an external library that it needs to look for. Now, going through the Premake documentation, I found that this syslibdirs is the command that you need to use, and then you give it a path to the library file, or to the library directory that you're aware of where the OpenCV build is. So that's located here, and then I'm also doing an include dirs, and I'm doing that under the solutions, so that include dirs should be open and accessible to the entire solution, just in case I try to use it in different projects. For now, I may move this later into a specific project, but right now I have it in the solution area, and I just put a hard-coded path to the include folder for OpenCV. And then the only other thing I did down here is, let's see, go down to links, and I added the debug, so that's what this D indicates. I added the OpenCV debug library to my links. And that so far was enough to get started and enough to get everything to work. When I went into Visual Studios, I was able to start typing in the include for the OpenCV files, and the IntelliSense was able to detect it. So right now it looks like everything is working well, or at least OpenCV is added to my Virtual Studio project. So let's look at the OpenCV code that I'm going to use next. So I found this in a couple of different places. I'll put those sources at the end of the video. But basically what we're going to do is we're going to use, this is the CV is the OpenCV namespace. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to make a OpenCV matrix, MAT here, and that matrix we're just going to call image. And this is a special type of matrix that's designed to hold and do functions on image files. So we're going to take that image matrix that we just made, and now we're going to load into it using imread. So this is going to read from a file, and we have a hard-coded path here to this Brain Playground episode. It should be 3 title. No, I just changed that. I was playing around. So now we're just a BP episode 3, and I think that's all I named it. So just leave that there. And then we're going to do this. If there is no image data, so image data should be true if this works. If it doesn't work, it'll be false. So if this is not true, in other words, if this is false, that's what we want, then we will print an error to the screen. Otherwise, we're going to keep going through, and we're going to make a window to display our image, and then we're going to use CV imshow to display the image. So that's the code, and I'm going to add that into our Visual Studios project. So let me jump over to Visual Studios. Okay, and you can see here that I am in the editor layer file of this program. And in the editor layer, I'm going to find where IMGUI is. I'm going to look for the IMGUI viewport. That's where I want to be able to see this. That's where I want to see the image. So I go into the IMGUI viewport, and then right below this image call here, I'm going to put in our OpenCV code. So you can see all of that loaded in there. Take out that comment for now. Okay, so here's the code, and I'm going to run that in a minute. But before I do that, I just wanted to show you a couple more things. So let's go up here. We'll go to the Brain project, and let's look at our settings here. Okay, apparently to see that I have to go to the property pages here. Okay, so what I wanted to show you in here, if we go to VC directories, now we can see in our library directories we have this OpenCV build. This is here because of what we put in the let's go back to our Premake. So we did our, let me see, up here, we did syslibdirs, that's this path, and then when we look at our properties, we see that that is loaded in the library directories. So that's important, and then we can look at general, and if we look at general additional include directories, we'll see that the OpenCV include file is also there in our additional include directories. So that just again reiterates that Premake is going to help us set up all of our settings for our project. With that, let's go back to Visual Studios. In this video, I'm going to try to run this OpenCV code in the Brain Playground. I run it, and boom, it fails. The reason it failed was because it couldn't find the DLL file, the library file for OpenCV. We've added our OpenCV code to our editor layer inside of the IMGUI call. So as IMGUI is being rendered, we're going to run these OpenCV commands, and we'll see if we get a window. Of course, we've also added the OpenCV library paths to our system search paths, so that at runtime our computer can link to those libraries. In the last segment, I showed you what that looks like when you forget to do that and it fails. So let's run the program, and boom, okay, we've accomplished our goal. We have an image on the screen. Awesome. If we close that window, notice it pops right back. Notice I actually have two windows here. One's display image and one is viewport. If you look over here at the code, that's because I did this named window and then I forgot to use the display image name in IMShow. But that kind of suggests that I don't need this named window at all. That's kind of interesting. Let's see what happens if I exit here. Get rid of that, and then let's see if I just comment this out, if it will still work. And we'll run it again. Alright, and there we go. This time we only get the viewport window. So I had put in viewport here because I was hoping that it was going to jump this image or show the image into the viewport window that we already have, but apparently that viewport window or context is separate and different from the one created by the OpenCV call here. So that's something I'm going to have to figure out in the future, but for now we have this this code working, and we have successfully integrated OpenCV into our project. Okay, so we've had some success. So did we accomplish our short-term goal? We did. I figured out how to add OpenCV to the library, and then I was able to implement it so that we could display an image on the screen. So that was a success. A lot of problems along the way, though. You saw that I forgot to add the library paths to the system search path, so that prevented it from working. I also initially added both the release and debug libraries to the linker, and that created multiple definition problem. So I had to take out one of those libraries. I think later I can go back and set it up such that I can have one library load for the debugger and one library load for the release. The other thing I did wrong, I didn't need to use a named window. That just created an extraneous window. But otherwise, I got an image on screen. That was my goal. What was the real problem, the big problem? The big problem was that it made a new window and put my image into that new window rather than putting it into the IMGUI viewport window that I really wanted to display in. So I wasn't able to kind of override that display, and that's what I want to be able to do in the future, because I want to be able to have set up my user interface using IMGUI and use one of the open IMGUI windows as my render context, or at least the place where the rendering is going to happen. Right now, I can't do that with OpenCV. I think after looking around a little bit, the solution is going to be in textures. So if I can take that image that I imported through OpenCV and convert it to a texture, then I can pass that texture into the rendering pipeline, because we know how to do that through the Hazel game engine. So I'm going to try that. So that means I need to learn a little bit about textures and a little bit more about the rendering system for Hazel. So those are going to be a couple of the things that I'm working on for the next episode of Brain Playground. That might take me a while to figure out because it's pretty complicated. But that's it for this video. I'll just put my sources up after this, but thanks for watching. Bye.